And we are live, and good evening out there, ladies and gentlemen. And warm welcome here to Pool Christian Spiritualist Church and the weekly Lyceum. I'm the host tonight, Jack Eckhart, in the absence of Florence, that is down the church physical for demonstration there. But we have this evening going on anyway, and the subject tonight is aspects of mediumship within spiritualism, and the talk we'll have will go around that. So please join in with your comments, questions, and things. With me tonight, I have the lovely Susan Hughes from Ireland. So welcome, Susan.
Thanks very much, Jack. Interesting. It doesn't matter how many people talk about this topic. It will always be talked about until people feel satisfied with it. But we should never feel satisfied with it. So that's why I love
definitely not. So definitely not. And Susan, as we're tonight is going to talk about the aspects of mediumship. Do you have some comments to start with on the aspects of mediumship within spiritualism?
The ethics, did you say? Sorry, you broke up a
bit. The aspects. Aspects.
Oh, aspects. Okay.
Sorry.
Well, mediumship. No, that's all right. Mediumship. Maybe I'll put my headphones on in a minute. But mediumship is, it's easier almost to say what it's not. But mediumship is that sacred connection to people and spirits that reside on the other side of life in spirit world. And a medium brings forward that energy, that feeling, what spirit want to teach us, what our loved ones who have crossed over from the human existence, who have transitioned, what they want to bring to us, because they still love and support us in this existence. So there's so many ways of approaching it. And you and I were just chatting there for a moment saying people being natural mediums. Yes, of course, everyone is. It's whether they choose. We're all natural singers, aren't we, Jack? Naturally, we can sing.
Oh, yes. Oh, yes.
Does it sound good to other people all the time? Nope. But we naturally have the ability, do you see? But if we decided to really, I try to simplify things to make it easy. If you decided to hone that skill, you may never discover yourself as a new Barbara Streisand, but you could have great enjoyment and others in a smaller environment enjoying your voice. And that's the same for mediumship, but the effort must be put into it. However, lots of people, for various reasons, it doesn't matter whether we think they're brilliant or deserve the accolade or whatever, have moved up and have become very popular. And we say, fair play to them. Fair play to them. We shouldn't be pulling them down because they are bringing attention to the spirit world. They are bringing attention to other people saying, I wonder how does that work? So we're all in it together. But the human in us, Jack, sometimes wins. That's what happens.
Yeah.
And that's it, basically.
Yeah. And I like what you're saying there, that's talking about this, about mediumship. Basically, being a medium, as we know, is just being the one in the middle. Yes. I used to say to people, it's not about me as a medium, it's about you and your loved ones. I'm just the phone line between there. Or the speaker, or how to put it there. But Susan, we were talking a little bit before we went live here. We were talking a little bit about this, about education, the importance of education, and to having the understanding of the mediumship. One thing is that we are putting on some simple phrases here about what is mediumship. But from there to actually understand the mediumship, we know a lot of people are doing courses in churches, at the college, at centers, both in UK and around all around the world, with different views of what mediumship is, if I can put it that way.
Yeah.
And what are your thoughts about that?
Well, I'm good with that. However, you see, good with that. However,
yes.
What happens is when we go, I know there's always a however with Susan. So I have prolifically trained. I will be the eternal student, and I'm not saying anybody else needs to or has to do this, but I needed to ensure I was getting it as correct as possible. Because I really felt, and it was, and I've had many lovely teachers, but Mavis Patilla, I did a number of mentorships with her, or she permitted me to do the mentorship, I should say. She could be a bit scary, Mavis, and I like that.
Yes.
But she taught me the sacredness of our role as mediums. And I feel that is what is missing from many, because they have skipped over too quickly in their development. Because we kind of know the purpose. What is the purpose? And what is bringing forward the essence, bringing forward the words. But if you've skipped through processes, the weekend, you may have gone into the weekend medium, but you have not left with all the techniques you need and the knowledge you need to ensure you can fulfill that role as best you can. And, you know, it is fine, because we know our people love us. We know our people on Spirit Side love us. Without a zero doubt, we know they are proud of us. I want my daddy to tell me he understands what I'm going through right at this moment and give a little insight to that. I know what my daddy looks like. I know what he passed from. Now, for some people, it is important for us to deliver. This is what he looks like. He's lovely eyes. He's lovely. This is his role. This is his job. This is what he passed of, and this is his name. I can understand the importance and relevance of that information, but they should be the points to find your recipient. Just 5 points, 3 points, 5 points, and then you work with the essence of that spirit. That takes practice. That's what takes the time, and people are rushing through this, and this is why you find many mediums burning out, I suppose, getting burnt up or getting burnt out, because they don't have a solid basis to fall back on when things go wrong. Because you and I, Jack, know that things go wrong.
Oh yes,
but
definitely.
We need to have that solid basis to keep us standing. So I cannot fault anyone for going and doing all of these courses, but there is a but. It's not a however, it's a but this time. Choose them. Once you have touched off, because I did trance, I did healing, I personally studied psychology and counseling, and all of these are just go into this well of knowledge, but then you must choose and hone particular skills. So I chose mediumship. And I'm going to say something to you now, because many, many years ago, I think when I had just first met Mavis and Jean, I think I was in Disley in Manchester, and I was scared, always afraid of getting it wrong. But we all had to stand up and say, well, what is it you do? So I stood up and said, well, I've done this, this, and this, and that, and this, and that, lots. And then she says, oh, jack of all trades. And I was so hurt, because I said, but I did all of them to find where I fit.
Yeah.
To find where I fit and what I can do. Now, Mavis didn't mean it in the way I took it. Remember, I'm that uber sensitive person. She didn't mean it in that way. But that makes sense to me. But you must touch off of all of these things. I spent years finding out where I fit into this. Whilst mediumship was what I chose then, it has changed, because we change and we evolve as our learnings are brought to us, and we go and find those learnings. Do I go to courses so much anymore? Not so much, but I still do, because I don't need to know the basics. I don't need to know that. I need to know new things. I need to know, because this world is progressing. So spirit world are assisting us progress in the progressing world. So why wouldn't they progress?
Yeah.
And I get CERT, which was taught many years ago, communication, evidence, reason for coming, tie up. And I actually get it. I think there's a purpose to that, because that helps the beginner, the student, find out what they are to do in this to get the communicator. And now I love to see that they're bringing forward the essence. The Irish were always told, given out to, because we're storytellers. We just keep talking. We could just keep telling this story of the people. And we were always being reprimanded. And now they actually teach it, the storyteller. So you see how things have adapted and changed, and it needs to keep moving and progress. But basics are basics. You can't drive a car without learning to drive.
Exactly.
Simple.
Exactly. And the understanding of the mechanics behind it.
Exactly.
Because I think you might have had the same experience, Susan. But I've met many mediums, actually quite good mediums. But getting to talk to them sometimes, been surprised of their lack of understanding of what they're actually doing. I remember back in the years, once I was coming to the college, coming to advanced courses at the college at that time, being together with other advanced students, and some of the questions that came up was, to me, I'd say to me, that was so basic of the understanding. You should know that for now, and I think,
I agree.
and I think, and it's been mediums been working for 10 years maybe, or so, and really have some big gaps in the understanding of the work they're actually doing.
Well, that's true, and again, I have no difficulty with that, and we don't pontificate, as we were talking. We don't tell people. I just say what I feel. If there's a gap and you don't want to fill it, well, something else is going to fill that space, and it's not energy, and it's not passion, and it's and sometimes people start teaching too soon. They haven't got their own foundation set. So they think it's brilliant, and I know why they do. They think it's brilliant, and I must share this, and it's fabulous, and the passion they have.
Yeah.
And then they burn out. They burn
Oh,
out.
yeah.
So,
oh, yeah.
so the old ways have a purpose, but they must be interlinked and progressed into the present. So
yeah.
I like, we were also saying about the rules. I like rules, but if they don't make sense, I'm not following them. Simple as.
No,
I'm not following them.
no,
Doesn't make sense.
Yeah. But I think you brought forward a really good point there. Many people are starting to teach too soon, without having the understanding of things. I know I've seen students, but students of my own over the years that have, for whatever reason, gone out, start teaching. They could work as an okay medium, starting teaching, but what they were teaching was just taking the exercises they have been through and just giving that exercise on, but they don't have the understanding of the exercise.
Yes, and
to me, that's yeah. So when you as a tutor don't have the understanding of the exercise, the deeper purpose of the exercise, how can you how can you support your students when they're getting into problems?
Yeah. And as the tutor, you need to be able to blend with each of your students. You need to be
Definitely.
able to see what's going on there, and you might need to suddenly adapt or change the exercise you're giving because you can see something going on, or
Yeah.
and so those less experienced, and I mean, of course, it's only by doing this we gain experience. But again, my fear is they start too soon. You
Yeah.
know, you can't be. I worked many years ago in the motor industry. I wondered, is that why my mind goes to a car? You can't buy a racing car and become a racing driver after 2 lessons, you know, because you will burn and crash. That's
Yeah.
simple. That's as
Yeah.
simple as I can say it.
Yeah. Yeah.
But you can learn to be that race car driver.
Yes.
Absolutely, if you give it
Definitely.
that time. Yeah.
Yeah. I usually
The thing about, I remember, sorry, Violet Kipling telling me, she was my first mentor many years ago. Back in the day, they weren't allowed to speak in circle. They would be sitting in it for maybe 7 years before they were allowed to even speak or work. And
yeah.
again, I'm seeing the understanding, the essence, but it's changed. The world has got quicker now. Our
Yeah. Yeah.
perceptions
Yeah.
on how things can be received have changed. But that's commitment. So I
Yeah.
see the commitment. Because as a medium, you are saying to the spirit world, I will be your voice.
Yeah.
I will bring your words of truth to whoever it is. And that goes for philosophy as well. And I know people jump into trance very quickly
Yeah.
without the foundations. And
Yes.
you know, and I kind of, you know, I'm a humble person, but I have strong opinions. You do what
Yeah.
you wish. You do what you wish, but I can only tell you that's not going to work for you. But if you wish to
Mm.
experience it, and I feel that many mediums who have a good quality about them burn out and they leave, and they, you
Yeah.
know, and which also indicates they didn't find or discover or understand the sacredness of this role and give it the respect it needs.
Yeah. I totally agree with you on that one. Definitely.
Good. We won't fall out then, Jack.
No, not over that one. We can probably find other things to fall out of.
I think so.
But no, I totally agree. The respect for those that we represent from spirit, and the
Yes. Yeah.
honesty towards our recipients about what we are delivering, where we're getting
Absolutely.
it from, is. But you know, Susan, you're talking a little bit about this, about the evidence and things. I think we have to remember as well the different kind of evidence as well. What we often hear people talk about is, as you said, the reason for passing, their name, these things, factual evidence.
Yeah.
I'm surely agree we need some few bits of factual evidence.
Absolutely.
But
Yes.
I think we have to look at the different types of evidence as well. We have obviously the factual evidence, but then we have emotional evidence. We have the spiritual evidence, and you were talking about the stories. When we're telling the stories, a lot of evidence, even factual evidence, can be within that, without being delivered as a factual evidence. You know.
Yeah. Yes. Yeah. Yeah, I agree. And you know, Jack, if we went out with our friends, say you and I, you and I are getting to know each other, right?
Yeah.
So say you're with someone who, oh, I look at my window and I see a beautiful rainbow. Isn't that lovely? Yeah, now there's my gift from the spirits or from the sky. It's a stormy sky. But if you were out with your friends, someone say you went to school with, I've friends that I went to school with that we see each other quite often. And well, one of them has the memory of an elephant. I thank God for her, because I don't. But she said, do you remember when? Do you remember that time? And it would be a collective memory. So I know when that girl passes to spirit world, and if she comes to visit me or through a medium, she will say that to me. Do you remember the time that you and I'm not going to say it because we got up to some shenanigans, so not all of it was shenanigans, but do you see? So if someone said that to me, I have this girl here, I know she comes to me, I feel it as a blending of a friend, and she says, do you remember the time when you were going to school, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
That I know immediately who it is.
Yes.
Now, am I that medium? No. But I am working my way to that. Do you see?
Yeah.
And I'm 30 years or more training, but I'm still not satisfied that that I have done enough. I want to do more.
Yeah, and I think that's important to remember. This evolvement as a medium, development as a medium, it's not done with a few workshops or we get the. Can I ask you, Susan? You mentioned about 30 years. It's about the same time I have since I've started my journey. But can I ask you, how many weekend workshops have you been doing?
Say that again. You broke up because my internet connection's a bit poor.
As I said, Susan, over those years, how many weekend workshops have you? How many weekend workshops or weeks did you do before you went out working?
Oh my gosh!
Don't have the number, do you?
No, thousands. Well, hundreds, certainly hundreds.
Yes.
I haven't really started prolifically working until the last couple of years, I'll be honest with you. Before I was doing bits and bobs, absolutely, doing services, some readings on. I needed to hone my abilities to say, okay, I can do this.
Yeah.
And I know that's something in me, self-confidence and all of that. I get that. I understand that, because I look to others and I say, I wish I had some of their self-confidence. But I just needed to get it right. And do I get it right all the time? No, none of us do. We don't get it right.
No.
But that's another learning for us. And you and I are not going to be knocked back by not getting it right, because we know to go and sit with our people, to sit with our spirit guides and say, how can I change that? How can I improve that? But I remember at the start getting off the platform or the podium, whatever, and said, oh, I'm never doing that again. I mean, the fact I didn't want to get up and do it in the first place.
Yeah, I know that feeling.
Yeah, exactly. And it's the joy of it. I know, the joy of it. Who'd have thunk, anyone who knows me, who'd have thunk I'd been talking like this? Who'd have thought? I'm quiet, I'm shy. But I have found my voice. And I've been assisted in finding my voice. Now, finding people to listen to it, now that's a different matter. That's a different matter altogether. But so I love philosophy. I love inspirational speaking. Yeah. And when we track back in life, and you will find this as well, Jack, because I've heard you giving philosophy and inspirational talks. When you track back in your life, you wouldn't have been ready 20 years ago to deliver in the manner you do now.
Definitely not.
Yeah.
It has been a long process to. As a child, believe it or not, I was known as the little shy silent Jack.
Isn't that interesting? And
I think first time I stood up and I had some meditative training where I was learning teaching, where I was doing courses and things back in these days. Was at an education officer, so I learned to speak to people there. but first time but that was all prepared, everything was written down.
Yeah.
We're going to see, and that was because we had a schedule we needed to follow. It has to be like this.
Yep.
I think first time I stood up speaking without have a written text to go out from was at my mom's 60th birthday, and that's 26 years ago.
Wow.
And I'm 58 today, so it's and everybody was surprised. Oh, is that Jack speaking? And that was like a kickstart, and that was before. No, that I have just started. I must have started my development at that time. I can't remember. I think it was her 60s, and she is 86 today. Yes.
Wow! Congratulations.
So yes. So and from there I started to do a talks once in a while at a party and things like that. But over time, by and through teaching, both in military and when I started to teach within mediumship and spiritualism, it has just evolved and has changed. And I know over the years doing the teaching, the work with my guides and helpers, how they have had an influence on my teaching as well there. Sometimes it's been like, okay, we're going to do this exercise, and I start to explain the exercise, and when I finish, it comes out a different exercise than I thought we should do. Yes. And then, okay, guys, now you need to be with me because we need to support the students now.
Yes. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
And there is, I suppose, a natural ability within everybody. I kind of want to get back to that, but not every medium is a teacher, and not every medium is a philosopher. Not every medium is a healing medium, or there's. This is where I talk. You must find your niche. You must find what sits with you, but you must have the knowledge dotted around that to sustain your choice.
Yeah.
And I feel that it's been too focused and it got too narrow, that path of evidential mediumship. It's got too narrow, and it's hard to break out because there's so many who are, I'm going to say, poorly trained, not through their fault. They're trained by tutors who haven't had enough training themselves.
Yeah, I totally agree with you.
Yeah, and you can't stop that in the world. I'm not going around point my finger at anyone, say you shouldn't teach that. It's part of the process. It's part of the process. But it is a failure if, and when the student's ready, the teacher will appear anyway. So I just say people will go where they need to go to be taught, because they will find. That's how I found my tutors. That's how I found who suited me, who I knew would make me work. I knew I couldn't hide from, because us shy people know how to hide. We're dab hands on it.
Yeah.
So I went with tutors who would pull me out of myself.
Yeah. And you talked about maybe she could be a bit scary, but I've had some scary teachers, to use that phrase, over the years as well, or tutors where people say, oh, she or he are a bit frightening, and so on. But actually I have loved it, and what I have loved, and I think what scares people sometimes, I've realized that myself when I've been teaching, is when the tutor is honest and saying,
Correct.
Jack, what you're doing there, that's crap.
That's
Do so.
rubbish.
Try and do so and so instead.
Well, we know the tutor that says sit down. That's rubbish. I'm not. Uh, I, it's not that that person isn't compassionate, because I know that person
Oh no,
is.
no, I wasn't
But
thinking
I,
of a certain person here.
no, no, but I'm just saying, because we see it in others. Mavis, I absolutely love Mavis, and I know
Yeah.
Mavis loved me as well. So the scariness is that, will I be told I'm no good?
Yeah.
So, and I have never been told that other than by myself. I have
Oh
been
yeah.
told do better or work something
We,
different. I
yeah.
haven't been told, God, you're absolutely marvelous
No,
all the time.
none of us need anybody else to tell us that.
But it is the tutors that speak with honesty are the ones you need to go with.
Yeah.
And am I faulting someone who has a passion for sharing the world of spirit and all of that with people? No, I can't fault that, but I say, before you train, make sure you have everything in place. That's all
Yeah.
I'd say.
Yeah. Yeah. But I mean,
Because we see a lot of posts on Facebook about this kind of thing, but I am not seeing that many saying, well, this is how we can fix it, this is how we can make a change.
no, and that's
You know,
true. That's true. But now we're talking about this, Susan, and I'm just sharing my opinion here. It's like we're talking about this, the honesty from the tutor. One thing is to telling somebody, "Oh, that is crap, that is wrong, that is whatever," but that's not tutoring. The tutoring comes in when you say, what you're doing there is not working. Try to do so and so
try
instead,
something else.
and make it work for the student.
Yes.
Then you start. Then you start teaching. Then the student starts to grow there, and as well as I think it's wrong just say somebody, oh, that's wrong, just sit down. I think it's wrong to just sit there. Oh, that was very good, no matter what they're doing.
Yeah, yeah.
That is as wrong, maybe even worse.
I
Because
think so, and
that,
that's
that
what's
will lead
happening.
people
Yeah.
to think, oh, I'm told I'm so good, now I'm going out there. And sadly, I have seen many people, mediums over the years, as you were talking about, not go out there too early, that have been told, oh, you're so good, you should go out doing the platforms and things, going out doing a platform, and things go wrong because they haven't got the foundation to stand there, and you will never see them back. You will never see them back on the platform again. I've seen so many potential good mediums fall into that trap, and it's sad. It's really sad.
Yeah, it is. I mean, I still get nervous. I still get nervous when I need
Oh
to
yes.
fulfill a role, but it's a different kind of nervous. It's a new word, isn't it? Nerve sighted. This new word. I'm nervous and excited. Whereas before I was nervous to the point of being ill. Now we'll bring it. And so
Yeah.
we still battle with the human, but we know the soul rises, and we know our spirit people are going to work with us as we work with them. And that's another thing I used to say was, I might be wrong, but I know the spirit world are not, right?
Yeah.
I think that's a bit blasé. Whilst I agree with it, I've changed that. I said, I don't always agree with them, but I will continue the conversation.
Yes.
So,
Yeah.
So again, say, well, my spirit guide said I needed to do that. Well, you have free will. You still have free will.
Oh yes. Yeah. Yes. And Susan, I can see we are about halfway through, so can maybe say to people out there, if you have any comments, questions, or anything, there, you are welcome to type it in the comments, and we will take that with us within the conversation here. So yes. Okay. But Susan, looking at, we're talking about, you mentioned this, nobody is coming up with a solution of what are we doing. Have you any good ideas?
Me? Well, I'd say, well.
Oh, I got to start it now.
Well, you know, it's kind of like if I had to go back and do my driving test again, would I pass? I don't know. I think I'm a good driver. In fact, I know I'm a good driver, but would I pass? Because the rules for the basics have somewhat changed. There's different markings on the road, there's things and all that. So if I'm tested on them, so would I pass? I'd like to think I would. But if I was to go as an experienced driver, I'd pass immediately because there's no pressure on me. Do you see? So it's pressure to stand up and say I need to learn, or it's pressure to do an exam. It's that's all pressure. I do not work well under those circumstances, and even though I still put myself through them, I think there's a madness in you and I, Jack. I think there's a madness in us to be doing this.
Yes,
but it's about the basics, but. It's really, I don't know what can be changed, I'll be honest, because it's so prolific now. The fault is incorrect teaching. But hey, I'm not God. I can't tell you, Jack, what to teach your students. But I could advise anyone wishing to share their passion and their knowledge to ensure that they have gained not just 1 year or 3 courses or 2 weeks at the college, or actually good standing practice where they have experienced so many things. Because we know, Jack, we have experienced so many different things whilst in our one-to-one sittings, while our philosophy and our teaching and delivering messages and sacred divine services. These are all the experiences that assist us grow our foundation.
Yeah.
So I suppose within, we can't prevent people from being people, can we? We can't prevent people from being people.
Oh, no.
Yeah. And to tell someone, well, you've been poorly trained, is cruel. It's cruel to say that to someone after they're
I think what we maybe can do instead is say, well, whatever teaching you have got, this might be different. So just to try to put what you have been told so far on a shelf and listening to what we are bringing for you here.
Yeah.
I think something like that, I would say.
Yeah. There's just so many ways to access our spirituality. There's so many ways and methods, and you know, some people, I know we're not really talking about this. They talk about other galaxies. As I'm just plugging myself in. I wish I could plug myself in the way you can plug your laptop in. We could do with that sometimes. So there's all these other different ideas coming forward. Never dismiss anybody's opinion just because you disagree with it. Do you see? The differing opinions brings discussion, and that's the learning.
Exactly.
For us. God, I never thought of it that way. Or that's interesting. It's not for me. Not for me, but I have that knowledge now. And when people say, well, I've done that course and I've done that course and I'm now going to teach this, they've stopped their own development. You and I we're I suppose we're strong enough to know we still need development. You can't just stop. So, but people in their who don't have their foundation set think, well, I don't need to do that now. My development is in place. But we need to keep learning. We need to keep reading books. We need to be. I love watching other mediums work. I love going to divine services. And when affording it, I love to go to the college or to workshops and things like that, because it feeds me. It feeds me. It feeds my soul. It feeds my knowledge.
Yeah.
Because the day I think I know everything is the day I'm lost. That's the day I'm lost.
I've always said
hey, don't tell my husband I said. Don't tell my husband I said that, right?
No. Okay, I won't. No, I've said similar. The day I come to a point where I think, now I can't learn anything more about mediumship, I need to stop. Because then it's my ego coming in there. And I do agree with you. Where I have learned most over the years is probably by watching other mediums working.
Yes, absolutely. I like that. I don't like that. Oh, that's interesting. I might try that out.
Yeah, that would suit me. And I'll definitely not go there and things like that. But Susan,
there's a storm passing over at the moment. So if it gets too loud, it's not me. It's the rain. Sorry.
Yeah. I can see people are coming with their comments and questions. So, Jen Stevenson says here, do you think some people want to be trained quickly so that mediumship becomes a money earner for them?
Hey, if that's your job, if that's what you're going to say the mediumship is, but if you're going into mediumship solely for financial reward, it's not. There's nobody is a millionaire. I can tell you that. I still scrape by. I'm still scraping by. At other times it's good, but I'm still feeling fulfilled. Yes, I do think that. But that's the problem. They'll burn out, and I feel for them. I really do. I burn out because the qualities and their abilities are not stabilized.
Yeah.
And they kind of introduce other things. I have no problem with people being a medium as their employment, as a worker. I have no difficulty with that once they don't abuse it. But yes, Jen, I think people kind of wanted to be how quickly can I say I'm a professional medium? Well, after you've done some professional courses, but how quickly can you honestly say you're an experienced medium? Yeah. So that's a different thing altogether.
Yeah,
some experienced mediums don't. Yeah, they and people say, I wouldn't charge for my gift. No, well, that's I absolutely respect that, but don't tell me to carry your beliefs.
No, and we all have our beliefs, and we should be able to have them. But I think as well, when looking at it nowadays, it seems like everything is instant. It's instant coffee, it's instant tea, it's instant food, fast foods, and why not instant mediumship? That's that's the wanting from many people these days. It's like, I'll just go online. I find some. There's something here. I can have 2 weekends online or 2 evenings online, and I will become a medium. But I believe, as you were talking about here, if you want to make medium, be a medium for the money, it might be you might need to look at some other job, because it's really hard work. It's many years of training to get to that state where you can make a living. And I know here in Denmark, it's very few mediums that can make a living of it. I know in UK it's a bit more, but it's a bigger population anyway, and it's more accepted than mediumship as such in UK, and you have all the churches. But I think to make a living, that's really, really, really a hard work. There's easier ways.
Yeah, I feel it, just answering Jen there, I feel there's a lack of understanding of the role, you know. They see other people doing it, and I tell you, the mediums that make it look easier, the easiest are the mediums that have trained the longest. That's what I'll say. They could be training 30 years, 20 years, 25, 40 years, whatever, to make it look easy.
So
a good question, though, because I feel sometimes when it comes to monetary reward, people get a bit icky about it. And it's a gift. Well, I have spent thousands of hours and thousands of euro on my development, and I choose to make a living if I can from it, and I'm okay with that. But if I choose to give readings for free, I'm okay with that too. It's up to me to see what fits with right, because I can tell you, anytime I get a bit contrary or a bit over full of myself, I get a reminder from the spirit world. I do. So I'm very slow to be overly confident about that, but I am overconfident in the knowledge I already have, and very confident there's plenty more to be brought to me. So I have no issue with anyone trying for that, but please don't do it too soon. Too quick is going to burn out you, because you don't have the stamina for it. You can't run a marathon when you haven't learned to walk 10 yards, you know?
Yeah. So, and Julie is saying here, in my opinion, there's too much focus on giving messages and having the title of medium, when I think so much more should be put on understanding how they work with the guides and how they work with spirits. Yeah, and I kind of agree with that. Knowing the difference where we're getting the information on, and we have a brief talk about that before we went live as well, Susan, about the difference between a lot of psychic work in different aspects are presented as mediumship these days, aren't it? And I'm not saying anything wrong with psychic. Psychic as a really good tool. It just yes, but it has nothing to do with mediumship. So it's about again, we're coming back to the understanding, the understanding of the work, both as a psychic and as a medium there.
Yeah, because it is a skill that needs to be worked at. You know, any master of its trade has gone through many years of apprenticeships and learnings and redoing and remodernizing and progressing, and it will take them years and years and years to call themselves a master of their craft. And mediumship is a craft that needs to be mastered, and the only way you can do that is through well, firstly, personal development, because honestly, Jack, if you and I had stayed that shy person we were, we wouldn't be doing now what we do.
No,
even though I know that shy person is still inside us.
Yes.
But yeah, but that shows, I suppose, our passion for this life we have found.
Yeah. And it's becoming a lifestyle, a big part of our life, doesn't it?
Yes.
It's our belief system. It's our, for me, I can only speak for myself, of course. It's kind of a belief. It's my belief system. It's in my heart. It is in my soul. I can't.
Yes.
I don't do much in my daily life without having aspects of mediumship, spiritualism within it.
Yeah. I often wonder, I need to well, because I get very excited when I speak about it, I get very passionate when I speak about it, but when I'm with my friends, my school friends and things like that, I don't speak about it unless they ask. So I kind of go, that's okay, you know, we don't need to tell everybody what we believe, but if it arises, it's okay.
No, definitely not. But as well as we can respect others' beliefs, we have our beliefs. But I think it's just I said, for me, it's just a big part of my daily life.
Yes.
In many things I do. So, yeah. So Marion Frisbee is saying here, to stick to the path and its challenges, do you feel it is the soul's purpose wanting to fulfill itself, or you feel spirit choose those that will make good mediums?
Oh, that's been an interesting question, because we can see that in a couple of ways. Because some people say mediums are born, and others say mediums can develop. I'm not sticking to either one of those statements, because I believe it's an inherent ability within us all. Whether it arises or not is that. So it's interesting, because we all have a purpose coming into this. Why would we choose to come into this earthly existence except to receive challenges that enable and teach us? That's what I feel. So what's the point of it otherwise? So when people talk about the purpose, what is my purpose in this life? And I say, you should be asking, what are the challenges that are in this life that you're looking to achieve? So I would wonder, if I were to reflect on myself to this point, mine is would be self-confidence and self-esteem and all of those things. So I've learned how to get over myself. So I feel that spirit will access, and I've heard this many times from different people, is people, why are they letting that person be a medium and say all of that? They're not very good. Why did that person get chosen to go visit the Queen? I know you don't have a queen now in Britain, but well, spirit will find any access, any crack, to access and get their message to the world. They will find that. So our role is to respect that and be the best vessel or channel for them. So I do believe we're brought challenges that progress us. I have no doubt in that, because I know, and I've said, I don't know, sorry to anyone who's heard me say this before, but I used to say, when I go back, I'd be saying, you could have thought of a better way to teach me that lesson. No, you could have, couldn't you? But obviously not. So I wonder, it's as we struggle with this part of ourselves, when we push through and achieve it, yes, we've reached a purpose. The purpose of the soul fulfilling itself is interesting, because they're two very separate questions in my book. Because the soul, I feel, is never fulfilled. It's always wanting the knowledge. It's always wanting to share it. It's always, so it's do we choose the vessel, the human carcass that carries the soul before we come to this earth? There's so many. That's almost a night for itself, Marion. I could really talk about that question just alone. I absolutely feel our purpose is to rise above the challenges. Absolutely. Do spirit choose? I think we all are born to this world with abilities, whether they become abilities that are shown to the world or just shown to the few. It depends on how we purpose it. There's that word again, purpose it. Does that make sense, Jack?
Yeah, definitely. And I do agree with you. Our soul will never be fulfilled. But I'll focus a little bit on the last bit there. Spirit choosing people to be medium or make good mediums. I believe spirit will work in whatever way that they can, and they might be pushy for some people that have a potential to be a good medium. And I'm saying having a potential to be a good medium, because it's a personal choice. Do you want to put the effort? Do you want to put the hard work into being a good medium? It's like being a good musician. Yeah, you are born with a talent, it's called, in that respect. you're born with a talent to maybe play on the piano. We can all learn to play on the piano, as you mentioned before. We can all sing. But to get up, sitting there, filling concert halls and things, that takes more than a talent. That takes hours and hours every week of learning, of practicing, and dedication. With a football player, yeah, you need a talent to be a really good top football player, but it takes again hours and hours and daily and weekly trainings and practicing. And like any other things in life, if you want to be good at something, you have to dedicate yourself to it. You need to work hard for it, and the harder you work, the more occasion you take, the more training you're doing, the better you will get.
Yeah.
Does that mean everybody can be a top medium? Definitely not. But surely, the more you work on it, the better you will get. Some people won't even get to that state where they can do a private sitting or doing a platform. Definitely not. But they can still take a lot of learning and things. Like, trust me, I've played a little bit of football, and I could have choose to practice a lot. Would I have been a top footballer? No, probably not. I would probably never have got out of the schoolyard, you know. But certainly I would be better with the football by a lot of training.
Yeah, we're not all supposed to be the same anyway. We have all different paths. We have different challenges.
Yeah.
Even though we're all unique, there is that synchronicity of us all. We'll find people in our lives that we have similar paths and similar challenges, and we're supposed to meet people with similar challenges. Again, that's to assist us. People talk about soulmates, don't they? Soulmates are here for a season, a reason, or a lifetime. So we have people who are part of our soul family that assist us. But we can't blame it all on them or give all the responsibility to them, because we must, in this incarnation, rise to the challenges. And some of these challenges are very, I've had difficult ones in my life, but I do not compare, and there's no point, but I do see that I wonder, would I have been able to go through the challenge that I see other people going through? Would I be strong enough for that? So
Yeah. And we can just quickly hear there's a comment here from Tony Roberts saying, new students often have an expectation of, I want to be a medium and give good messages and be admired for doing that, without realizing how much effort and time it is needed to learn the foundations. Also, Spirit decide what we will be allowed to do, not what we want to do. You will only be a healer, not a platform medium, may not be what a person wants to hear.
Well, I'd never say that to anyone, because all forms of mediumship is healing anyway.
Yes.
But if you're looking just for the accolade, if you're looking for that ego rub, you're in the wrong space. You need more personal development to bring that understanding. Yes, it's wonderful for people to say, oh, that was lovely, thank you very much. Yes, that's wonderful to be appreciated. Go into it for that. I am not a hugely ambitious person, which makes me sound weak, but I'm not weak. I'm not weak at all. I have an aspiration, but I see people who are ambitious, like that Paul had just said. They're ambitious to be the star.
Yeah.
Well, it's you're in the wrong space to do that. And if you want to continue with that, well, then you need more self-development.
Yeah.
Because that's an incorrect statement, in my humble opinion.
Yeah.
That's how I see it. You can't, you can be aspirational, to be the best you can be. That's your ambition. Be the best you can be. But to do that is all that hard work in the background. You see these people that are overnight successes, have 20 or 30 years in that whatever industry they're in till they've got to that point of an overnight success. They appear like it's overnight, but it's not. They have all that foundation. And if they haven't, you'll find that they drift away. You see the pop stars, they'll just drift away after one or two things, and they've nothing to follow up because they haven't got that foundation.
Yeah. So, but Susan, we're actually coming to an end. There's a few more comments, but I think yes, but we can't manage to cover them all tonight. But there might be enough for another evening. I can see. People need to learn to put in the comments and questions earlier, don't they? Yes, but no worries.
Absolutely true.
Yeah. It's perfectly fine.
Maybe Larry can look at and see there's something that you might want to.
Definitely. But I can show Stephen Trolland has just joined us.
Hey, Stevie.
Yeah, saying my favorite people. So thanks, Stephen. Speak to you soon there. So thank you very much, Susan. Just before we end here, there's just a few notices for the coming week here. Tomorrow, Sunday, in church, the divine service that will be streamed.
Hang on, you're breaking up a bit, Jack.
Okay. Tomorrow, Sunday, 11 o'clock, in the church, the divine service has been covered by Jamie Williamson, and I know he's a brilliant speaker and philosopher, so that's a thing to look forward to. On Monday in church, there's a healing evening. Wednesday, there's demonstration of mediumship in the church with Carla. And on the 19th August, there's a workshop in the church called Advance Your Mediumship, and that is with Kim Moore-Cullen, a great medium and a great tutor as well. So that's one to recommend, definitely. And next week's Lyceum, that is with Sandra Ateris, and that's talking about the conditions we as mediums meet in churches and centers, and also the effect of ULIS will make on London churches. And ULIS, if you don't know, these restrictions and payments to drive around in London. So that's can be an exciting subject to join with as well. But Susan, thank you so ever so much. It's been lovely chatting with you here tonight, and I'm sure we will have many opportunities to chat either online or other places. But thank you, and thank you everybody out there that has been listening and that have bring comments and questions as well. So thank you and good night. Enjoy the rest of your weekend.
Night.